Is that what they're called?
I don't
I have
think
no
so.
idea what they're called.
Thought it was dangerous.
You ready, Joel?
My kids would
Right.
call it a wish.
That's what I would call it.
Yeah.
This is a wishing something or other.
Yeah.
I wish, I wish we had irrigation already.
Say it out loud.
I wish we had irrigation already.
In part 5 of this series on growing Gamble Sands, we got the skinny on the first 6 holes.
So you've got 6 holes to maybe get your legs under you, post a score, 3 short 4s, drivable 5s, and then 7T, I think the thing gets teeth. And 7 all the way probably to, at least, could be all the way to 13. There's some tough holes in the middle.
But before there's more of the hole-by-hole tour, specifically 7 through 13, let me introduce you to the agronomist of Gamble Sands.
My name's Josh Truan, golf course superintendent here at Gamble Sands. I was in California for a little bit, Pebble Beach Company, worked there, and realized that that wasn't the right fit for me. And I'm from the Seattle area, and there was a job available up here at this rooster Washington out in the middle of nowhere. I've heard of Chelan as a kid, you know, and I was like, all right, well, I like Washington. Let's get back up to the Pacific Northwest. And came up here, applied for the job. It was on TurfNet. I probably was the only one who applied because it was in the middle of nowhere, and started 2 weeks later.
As Kidd says in the opening, they're missing a key ingredient before they can make significant progress on the second course.
We're good most of the way, but we really need water in a hurry if we're gonna achieve, you know, half a dozen holes grassed out this year.
I'm not sure there's an architect out there who, when building a course, doesn't want the superintendent involved from the start.
Small town, middle of nowhere, didn't know what was going on, but for a 22-year-old kid, I thought it was the greatest thing ever. And you know, the ability to build something out of nothing, that was fun to me.
Truan's trail to Gamble Sands started at Rutgers University, and from Pebble Beach and Spanish Bay, it was on to Central Washington in September 2012.
I remember meeting David on probably my second week there, and I was just out doing my thing, mowing and working on stuff, and he started asking me design questions. I'm a 22-year-old assistant superintendent, don't know nothing, but he wanted my input. So being able to give my input as a young kid and work with him and learn from David and those guys was awesome. We need a T in between the yellow and the green.
Oh yeah, because of the big jump.
The big jump.
Yeah.
If we can avoid that
Oh,
big jump. But we can make that work.
Truan has been the common denominator to the grow-in of Gamble Sands, Quicksands, and the Cascades putting course.
I think this one's going to be better. I think our grow-in's better, our technique is better, our crew's better. Just everything about it is more experienced.
Golf at Gamble Sands, a little like Bandon Dunes, is mostly all fescue grass.
You can see behind me the views and the expanse and the sand we're on. I mean, it's a superintendent's dream. I mean, you can't create a puddle if you tried.
But is it a dream job for the staff he had to assemble? That's always the question with a remote destination.
I remember the first couple of years, it was rough. It was rough finding people. We went from we had 2 bartenders, you know, and it was 8 hours a day, and that's how long the bar was open. And now we've got people lining up to work here. We got 100% return of our greens crew this year from last year. Half of them were seasonal. So we returned everybody. We have a 31-man crew right now. So that's pretty good. 16 guys came back, and I'll take that every time. We had over 100 people apply for greenskeeper jobs. 100. 100. You took that to any golf course superintendent and say, hey, you got 100 guys for 3 spots. That means something.
In the summer of 2025, Truan's crew is up to 65, and he'll keep roughly a third of them employed through the winter, which is when they get creative and pitch in wherever they can.
Hate being laid off. I want to go do stuff. And I remember having a conversation with Tori Wolf, my second year here. I'm like, hey, Tori, you know, I'm willing to work, man. I'm willing to work in the snow. We'll do whatever needs to be done. And I remember putting a tool belt on and helping frame the restaurant. And ever since then, it's like, well, what else can we do? What else can we be involved in? And it starts snowballing. And so now it's, you know, everything that we're involved with building new construction, you know, with infrastructure, septic, sewer, power, water, all this stuff, installing that with some help from other contractors. We're involved with all of all the maintenance on property, whether it be the light bulb needs to be replaced to plunging a toilet. And I've got guys that go do that off my team, down to helping out with consulting with the family's Little League field that they have.
Meanwhile, back to 2023, and Kidd is still in search of water.
It's always a giant deal on a new build the minute you can push water, especially in sand, because you can't shape dry sand. And that's what we're playing with right now. So the minute we can start to get water out there, everything changes. I mean, you will see on your next trip up here, the minute we have some water, you'll be like, oh, now it makes total sense. It's a bit like a coloring book with no color. And suddenly you add some color and you're like, oh, it's a lion. You know, it'll come out right away.
They got power and ultimately all the water they needed for a proper grow-in on the latest 18-hole addition to Gamble Sands. Cut to the grand opening of Scarecrow, the second 18-hole Kidd design course at Gamble Sands, which was August 1st. And it's safe to say the roots of this agronomist, well, they run deep.
Yes, I might work more, I might work long hours, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel and there's a reward for it. And having that peace of mind and that security of that I want to be here, I like being here, I've got no reason to leave here. And I'm trying to think, what other jobs would I take other than being here at Gamble Sands? And I don't know if there's a whole lot.
Cheers to Truan and his staff and all that has been done and continues to be done to present this portfolio of golf, for adding the color to Kidd's canvas. It is, in fact, a lion. Back to Kidd, the course tour, and the trials and tribulations of the middle.
1 through 5, there are opportunities. Nothing's going to kick you too hard. 6, 7, and 8 are tough. They're longish holes. They're over across wide-ranging terrain with a lot of things that could go wrong. So I think that you get an easy start. First 5, you got a chance to build up. 6, 7, and 8, you're holding on. And then weirdly, I mean, the thing that's super exciting about this golf course is when the course really starts is probably 9T. You start on 9T and it never lets up. I mean, and not that it isn't before that, but 9T is like, you know, the guitar solo in a Led Zeppelin song, and it doesn't stop, and you're one after the other. And the great thing is, anybody watching this will probably call BS on it. Come have a look. Just like the first course, this course explores the edges of this high bluff looking down into the Columbia River Gorge. And you play 1 through 8 kind of internal. You're playing through these sand dunes and rumply terrain, but it isn't really till you get to 9T that you play to what feels like the very edge. That is our first infinity green. You're playing a relatively short par 3 to an infinity green that's just hanging out there in space. And you're looking at the entire breadth of the Columbia River below you. It's probably it is the biggest, baddest view of the river anywhere on property, is from right at that spot. And that's where it starts. You then fall down into number 10 and play all the way inside dogleg, left to right, to a hanging green out on a point. You're playing 11 right out into a little gap between 2 big hummocks with the river behind again. 12, you're playing up along a canyon that's 80, 100 feet deep. And then 13, cutting back towards the 9th tee. So you're back up on top with this big broad view. So that first loop of 9 through 13 is your first real exploration of the edges. It's pretty amazing that we've got this parcel of land that has edges that are so perfectly laid out for the imprint of a golf layout on top of it. We're able to play so many of these holes along edges. These edges are cutting back inland half a mile, 3/4 of a mile, and yet there's still these giant gulches that the golf course is playing along the edge of. you can draw parallels to Cape kidnappers in New Zealand, God forbid, Pebble Beach. There are very few golf holes in the entire 18 that aren't somehow, some way interacting with this edging. And that is what the terrain we started with. It's a bit like my first work at Bandon. How much credit can you really take for the piece of ground you start with? Hopefully the credit you take is you're smart enough to use it and maximize its potential, and then try and be as restrained as possible where the ground is damn near perfect.
Next up on the subject of perfect, it's the finishing stretch. And a lot more with Nick Shawn, Kidd's partner and lead associate on Scarecrow.
There is no one here right now that worked on the first golf course other than Tori and Josh. No one. So, you know, a little friendly. I'd like to outdo the last guys.
Competition brings excellence.
Yeah, if you're not trying to do the best that you can possibly do, then why are you showing up?